Hello, Yawning Angel back with another AMOS video. Yes, it's been a while. In this video, I'm going to take a look at a very little known area of control structures within an AMOS program. That area namely being the use of labels. So what are control structures? Well, you've been using them for quite some time now, and these are commands within a program which enable that program to make decisions. Think about your if then else statements, for example. So which little known area are we going to be looking at in particular? Well, I want to focus on the use of the GoTo and the GoSub commands and their use of labels within an AMOS program. But, I hear you say, this is a relatively simple area of AMOS programming. Why have you not covered this before, Yawning Angel? Well, let me tell you why. Because there is a special place in hell for GoTo and GoSub commands in any programming language. It is not good coding practice to make use of GoTo or GoSub commands because they can break a program structure. And when they go wrong, they go spectacularly wrong. And we're going to see some examples of that in the program example we're going to look at in a minute. It's for this reason I wholly advocate the use of procedures. Procedures are a so much more elegant way to control flow and structure in your program if you need to branch away from the mainline code. But hey, labels exist, so maybe they have a use after all. Seriously though, it's for that reason I thought I'd make this video so you can make up your own mind and see whether labels are for you. And I guess if used sensibly, they could have a use. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the following commands: GoTo, GoSub, return, and the different types of labels you can have within your program that will be used by these commands. So without further ado, and you know how this works, let's go grab a cup of tea and dive on into the code. Right then, here we are, cup of tea. Official cave dweller mug today. Not a bad brew. Okay, I'm hoping this will be quite quick because there's not a lot to show really. But anyway, here we are. I've got a bit of a shell of a program. So what we're going to do then, we'll open a screen first of all. Then we're going to define a label and an associated command to run as part of that label. We're going to define some different types of labels. It's only a couple. We're going to define a numeric label as well, which is interesting. We can define a line number, but the line numbers do not relate to the actual line numbers in the code, and that can get a little bit confusing, but we'll cover that. We're going to call a label using GoTo, and we can watch the chaos unfold. Then we're going to prep the screen for calling a label outside of the main code line. So we'll put a label outside of the program, the main program code structure, so after the end statement. And we're going to do a label with a return statement as well. So fairly straightforward stuff. So you'll have to forgive me, got a bit of a new setup here today, new monitor and new layout of things around here. So if I'm a little bit apprehensive as to what I should be doing next, bear with me. Okay then, so let's dive on in. So let's define a label. So let's give a label name, and I've just called this one here, label _1. There has to be a colon at the end of it for it to denote it is a label. And you'll notice that AMOS Pro automatically capitalizes that straight away. And what we're going to do is just do a simple print statement. This is label 1. And that's really all there is to it. Just check there's no errors in the code. So that is really all you do. You define your label, you put a colon at the end of it, and then you have some code underneath that, which will trigger when that label is called. Or will it? So let's run this program and see what happens. Oh, look at that. The label ran and I didn't even call it. So here we go. First thing you need to know about labels is the code is just going to sail straight through them, whether you call them or not. So you really need to think about where you're putting these labels, which is why later on we'll put the labels outside after the end statement so they can't be accidentally called. So that is label 1. So let's do another label. Let's just call one L2 and we'll just call this is, oh no, sorry, we'll do a print statement. Print, this is label label L2. And let's just tidy that up. Okay, so there we go. There's another label definition there. And if I just check no errors, we'll run the program. Bang. Label L1, or label 1, sorry, and then label L2. The code just sails straight through. The code doesn't care whether they're labels or just static print statements. It's gonna run them anyway. So there we go. Labels looking pretty cool, huh? Right, so let's define a numeric label. So you will do this, so let's do an example here. So let's note what line number I'm on here. So I'm on line number 46, okay? But I'm gonna define a label here. This is label 55. What I also want you to note is that I've done this on one line, and I'll show you why. Let me just knock that down. If I do this, 55, and put a colon at the end, which you're meant to do at the end of labels, watch what happens when I press return. That colon vanishes. AMOS will not allow you to put a number, a numeric label, with a colon after it. So you have to have that on one line. If you cast your mind back to my very, very early AMOS programming tutorials, you'll note that I was using line numbers semi-incorrectly, because you don't have to use line numbers within AMOS, because AMOS treats line numbers as labels. So apologies for that, but we live and learn. But that's what it's doing here. It's seeing this as a line number. So that sees this as line 55, and there's the instruction. But if we look, I'm actually on line 46. So if I had to do a GoTo 55, I'm not actually going to the line in the code 55, I'm going to the label 55. Take note. So if I run this now, check no errors, and I run it, there we go. We got our first label 1, our second label 2, and we've got label 55. And that is very, very basic label syntax. So next up, let's spice some things up and put a GoTo statement in and see what happens then. Okay, now to have some GoTo fun. First of all, T. Right, I'm going to do something which is against every fibre of my being now, and I'm going to put a GoTo statement in here. So I'm going to tell this to go to label, to go to even, see how much I dislike GoTo statements, I can't even spell it. So here I'm going to say, so this is the code basic structure as it stands at the moment. So we're opening our screen, we're defining label 1, L2 and 55. These are our labels. I'm then going to do a call to L2. So what should happen is the program should hit this line, bounce all the way back to L2, execute that print line, and then what do you think is going to happen? I think my clue is here. Watch the chaos. So let's run this. Boom, look at this. It's just constantly going through. It's running and it's doing label L2 and it's doing label 55. It's coming down, it's hitting that GoTo statement and it's going back up. Simple things, and any programmer worth their salt will obviously see that's what was going to happen. But it just underlines that if you define a label to be called on a GoTo statement, that code is just going to smash straight through that label into the next line of code and just keep going, and it's going to keep looping. So take note, GoTo statements are dangerous. Okay, so let's sort this mess out. So basically, I'm just going to comment that line out because we don't need that. But what I am going to do, I'm going to go to the end. So the end statement there in our program, which denotes the end of the program code running, and I am going to do a label down here, and let's call this label fun. Okay, and print, this is label, label fun. Ta-da! Exclamation mark. Right. So what I'm going to do then is where we had this GoTo statement here, go to L2, I'm going to do a call here to go to label fun. That's what I'm going to do. So what's going to happen? Oh, I also needed to clear this screen. Bear with me a minute. I've missed some code. So what I need to do, clear the screen. And I'm just going to do a quick locate 0,5, so we move the text down a bit. Right, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to branch out to that label fun label. So check that, no errors. So what I'm going to do first of all is I just want to do a wait key in here. So it'll do the first bit of the code. It's no longer going to do that go to L2 because I've commented that out. And then once we press a key, it'll clear the screen, reposition the print index where it's going to print from, and then it's going to run this label fun. So let's see what happens. Right, so here we go. Label 1, label L2, and label 55 are there. Press a key, and there we go. This is label fun has now printed, so it's gone outside of the main body of the code, picked up that label, executed the code that was associated with it, and then the program has ended. And it's just finished off there because it's done its label 2 and it's done its business. Program ends, job done. So that is one way of putting some control on your labels, by moving them to outside of the main body of the code and having your go-to statements go to them, literally, and then once they're run, they'll finish. So I'm sure a number of you can already see some problems with this, and we'll come on to that. So we will look at that next. So I've just tidied this bit of code up down here. I'm going to do, let's get rid of that comment. Let's do a label 2 with a return. So basically I'm going to call this label subroutine fun, because why not? Why are you calling it subroutine? Because we're going to use a GoSub command, which is effectively go to subroutine. So when you can call this what you like, this is just for the nature of this tutorial, I'm calling this subroutine fun. So let's see what subroutine fun will do, and what it is going to do is print, this is a subroutine label. Okay, and then what I need here is a return statement, because I'm going to call this with a GoSub. GoSub always has to be paired with a return statement. If not, much pain ensues. So now what I'm going to do is, where I've got this command in my go-to label fun, I'm just going to comment that out, and now I'm going to do GoSub subroutine fun. And then what I'm going to do is a print statement directly after that to show you that the program control will come back. So what should happen is we should call our subroutine fun. It's going to come down here and it's going to print, this is subroutine label. It's going to execute that return statement, and then it's going to come back, print I have returned, and then it will end the program. Okay, so let's save that, no errors, let's run it. So there's my first lot of labels showing. And here we go. This is a subroutine label. I have returned, and the program has ended gracefully, as it should. This is working pretty well. So GoSub works quite nicely, but it's not always as perfect as it seems. And I'm going to show you that next. Right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the chaos. Time to unleash the chaos of go-to statements. Are you ready? Are you braced for this? So, what I'm going to do, remember up here when we had this go to L2 and the control went to L2, then it ran label 55 as well, then it came back, hit go to L2, and it just got itself into an infinite loop, yeah? Well, have a look at this. So I'll tidy a bit of code here where I do my call to the GoSub subroutine fun, and then I print this I have returned. There's this go to statement here which goes to label fun. So what I'm going to do, I've commented this out, but I'm going to uncomment it out now. So this command is now live. So what's going to happen is control is going to be, it'll print our first lot of label stuff. It'll do its wait key. Then we're going to clear the screen, locate our print position. It's going to go to label fun. And then after that, it should do the GoSub subroutine fun, execute that code, and then it should do the print I have returned. Easy. What can go wrong? Well, the observant amongst you might already know what's going to happen. So we're going to go to label fun, then we're going to go to our subroutine fun, and then we'll return. And then the program will end gracefully and everything will be lovely. Save the code, check for bugs, no errors. Right, here we go. There's our first set of labels. Now I'm going to press a key. Right, well, look what's happened. So it has executed, this is label fun. It has also executed, this is a subroutine label. But look at our end of program error message, basically. This has said there's a return statement without a GoSub at line 78. The program has crashed. Basically what has happened, it's tried to execute a return statement without first executing the GoSub statement. What do you mean, Yawning Angel? The code is quite clearly run, because look, it's actually printed out. This is a subroutine label. Well, let's examine the code and go through the flow. So what happened here then? We cleared our screen, we repositioned our locate position here, we executed the GoTo label fun. So the code fired off down to label fun, it ran that, and because we saw from up above how if we tell it to go to a label, it will just keep on running the code. It just smashes straight through everything that's underneath the statement that we've told it to execute. So what it's then done, it's come down here and it's just smashed straight into subroutine fun. It's printed, this is a subroutine label. It's then hit the return statement and AMOS has gone, hang on a minute, you got here from a GoTo, not a GoSub. I haven't got a GoSub. Error, I don't know what's going on. Crash, doesn't work. So this GoSub command here is never actually executed because the program has gone from GoTo label fun, gone to our labels, done all the business, and then crashed on the return statement. It's for this reason you need to be so careful with how you position labels and how you control the return statements if you're using GoSubs. GoSubs probably give you a bit more control than GoTo, but it's not perfect. Please, please be aware. So just to prove that this is crashing out, as I said, what I'm going to do is do a print statement in here. I am back and about to execute the GoSub command. Right, so if this label fun, GoTo label fun, just to prove that it doesn't return from there, if it did, then we'd get this print statement here would execute. So if I run this now, there's our first batch of labels. So we've got, this is label fun, this is a subroutine label, return without GoSub. Quite clearly, the control code has not returned, which is not ideal. So that doesn't work. So quite clearly, after the GoTo, control passes out down to here, runs down to here, and crashes out on the program. You can get around this. You can then start doing GoTos to go back, and it gets really messy. You can try and stick to subroutines, go out to a subroutine. Once that code is finished executing, you then return control, which we've got here, GoSub. It goes to that subroutine, does its print, and then it returns. And then after it's returned, that statement is then executed, the print I have returned, and the program flow continues. Use GoSub rather than GoTo is my recommendation, but the ultimate recommendation would be is to use procedures where you've got much more control over the code. Don't forget, this source code, for what it's worth, is available to download for free from my website. You can get that from there and you can have a play around with labels yourself. I think my recommendation is if you're going to use labels, use them sparingly and try and exercise a lot of control around them wherever you can. So, have I shown you labels, GoTos and GoSubs? Yes, I have. So, job done. So, there you have it. Labels. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether you want to use them or not. Personally, I'm going to be sticking with procedures because they are so much more elegant. But each one to their own. You may find a use for them. Who knows? Thanks ever so much for watching this video. If you found it of some use, do all the usual YouTube stuff, subscribe to my channel, like the video. And if you want to support me on Ko-fi, you can do. The address for my Ko-fi account is up here. Don't forget the source code for this program will be available to download for free from my website, and there's a link to that here and also in the description down below too. Thanks once again for watching. Whatever you do, look after yourselves, keep it retro, and I will see you on the next video.